government?
Well, so the Wall Street Journal is right to say that golden shares are a form of government intervention, and there's many other forms of government intervention that have been used or could be used. But I think it's important to sort of put in context sort of the last 30 or 40 years where we've seen sort of this, we've basically left most of the key decision making about where and what to make to the private sector. And that's coincided with, decades of offshoring of jobs, rising income inequality, and of course, what some economists describe as the world's biggest market failure ever, which is climate change and climate crisis. So, we've been leaving it to the private sector, and these have been some of the results. And so I think the question to ask, and Fabio put it correctly, is, what is the right mix, not whether to intervene in the economy, but what is the right mix to ensure that private companies are aligned with the public interest? And I think that we saw one answer to that question during the Biden administration, which was through the Inflation Reduction Act, through the CHIPS and Science Act, and other policies, you saw investments in the clean energy future of America. And, it was not just one policy tool like golden shares or another policy tool. It was a whole suite of everything from subsidies to grants to loans to research and development support. And, we were beginning to see the positive results of that. We had 6 straight quarters of record manufacturing construction. We were seeing investments in new industries that had never been in the U.S. We saw all 5 major semiconductor companies investing, for the first time in the U.S. And so it was really starting to bear fruit. And what we've seen over the last few weeks is that the Trump administration has taken a sledgehammer to those policies and are gutting them, cutting them, making them less effective, and actually going back to sort of a bad old way of doing industrial policy, which is picking winners and losers. And they're sort of saying, there's certain sectors we're going to favor, but then others like solar and wind we're going to try to strangle. And that's sort of the opposite of a smart industrial policy.
Well, Professor Buffone, one last question for you, and I'm afraid we've only got a minute left. I keep coming back in my mind to something both you and Todd said, that the golden share historically has been used, like Europe, etc., to actually block foreign ownership of domestic companies, and in this case, it's the exact opposite. It's to facilitate that. So while certain aspects of company ownership are retained by Donald J. Trump, the profit, the economic benefits, the large economic benefits of this company are still going outside the United States, right, to Nippon Steel. So in that case, is this necessarily an America First policy, Fabio? We've got a few seconds here.
I think it's an America does what it can policy, because, as you said, the